What is up, guys, gals, and non-binary pals? My name is Naomi. Welcome to House of Miscellania. Today I'm coming at you with a WIP and chat. WIP stands for work in progress, and I'm going to chat for about an hour. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. If you're coming back to see me, welcome back. It has been a week since my last WIP and chat update with you, so I will catch you up on how the last week has been. First, let me get my tools out of the way so you know what's going on there. I am using a pen from Diamond Pen Pal. This is the Satura pen. It's the chubby variety of pen. They do have a smaller, like thinner version. I like the thick ones because I have really bad carpal tunnel in my right hand especially, and so I like a thick old pen. In my single placer, I'm using Ghost from Diamond Painting Daily. This is sort of like a glue dot. It's a liquid that turns solid. It goes from white to clear when it dries, and it works just like a glue dot. It's amazing, especially with ABs. This here in my multi-placer, I'll be using Butterfly Effectware's Purple Prismatic Sparkle Dot Dot Putty. Love this stuff. And then the tray that I am using is from Firefly. This is the Switch Mini Max. It's big. Like it's for man-sized hands. If you're a lady with man-sized hands like I have, go for it. It has a removable lid and a removable trash tray, which I always take those out. And then it has an open and close pour spout that you can use, very handy. And the hole in the top here is if you'd like to put your pen in so it doesn't roll away, you can do that too. All of the tools that you see here, you will find links down in the description. If you need to, you can take a look at those. And then the diamond painting that I will be working on for this little session, get a picture for you, is Sometimes by Color Out of Place from Diamond Art Club. This is a beautiful canvas. Love, 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 love it. And I've needed just the colors. You know what I mean? The colors are beautiful. And then if you're wondering what these are my tarot cards. At the end of the WIP and chat, I always pull a card as our thought for the week. So I'm going to set these aside because I don't need those just yet. And we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to put some new putty in my pen. Now, if you're kind of newer to diamond painting and you're like, putty? What the heck? Putty is actually something that people can use in place of any sort of wax or glue dot if you want to. I use it in my multi-placer only. My single placer is where I use my Ghost for picking up, you know, single place things, ABs. But the putty, what I do is to remove it, I use my little murder tweezers here. I just actually take off like the first layer. You can see I've left putty inside of the pen because I don't actually get to that. I take this off my little set of tweezers. I actually like pinch it because then if there's any leftover putty on the tweezers, it takes it off. Throw that in the garbage. And then with the putty, you take this out. This smells so good, you guys. I don't know what Purple Prismatic Sparkle is supposed to smell like, but it's amazing. But then I take my multi-placer here. I go along the edge and then push down. You're going to have excess on there. So what I do is I first push the putty in to make sure that it's all the way in there, and then it'll kind of go to one side sort of situation. I push down again just on the thing. I kind of rock my placer back and forth so that it kind of cuts it off the side, and then I push it like so up against the side of my putty. So usually it just comes right off, but it's easier to do on the table. I push it against that there. Any excess will usually just come right off. I kind of give it another little press in so that it's flat. Check the other side, push it down again so that, again, all of that excess comes out, and push it against the putty again so that I can use it for the next time. And then I put my putty away. And the placer, as you can see, like, yeah, maybe there's a little teeny excess you could take off of there or whatever, but as you can see, it's pretty much just on there. Don't laugh at my bent placer. I am a hard placer, okay? That means I push those diamonds down like they owe me money. So anyway, how have you guys been? Let me check in first with you. I know it is getting to be like cold and flu season for people, so if I'm sniffling, I apologize. I will try to keep my nose blown so you don't have to listen to sniffles, because I know that that can drive me crazy. So you know what? Let me pre-blow my nose. I'll be right back. There we go. Nobody likes a Mr. Sniffles. If you can name what quote that is from, what movie quote that is from, I'll give you like all of the yes, you got it and you're amazing in the comments down below. But, you know, if you got to go Google cheat, okay, fine. Go Google cheat if you'd like to. But nobody likes a Mr. Sniffles. All right, I'm looking for my first color. I want to do the anchor. Look at that color. Oh, I love the fact that this canvas, it has 96 colors, okay? So let me show you like my rainbow of colors in one situation here, and then the rainbow of colors in this one over here. Amazing. Love it. This canvas is gorgeous, you guys. I can't even get over how beautiful this canvas is. Just stunning. So yeah, tell me about you guys in the comments. How are you doing? How has your week been? What have you been busy with? I have been doing more prep work for Mary Morales, the event that is coming up in December and January to celebrate the artwork of Margaret Morales. If you want more information, there is a video announcement that gives you all of the rules. There's also going to be links down in the description as well. So if you need to fill out the entry form or you want to join the Facebook group, you can do that, or the Discord if you'd prefer to go there. Check that out. I'm so excited to get started. So they released another Morales on Saturday. And I mean, y'all know I got it because I have the entire DAC collection of Moraleses, so I had to get that. I can't not buy a Morales when it drops. I got that one, and it's called, now I made sure to ask how exactly it is pronounced because I wanted to say it correctly. And the pronunciation that I got from a person who is Filipino is luntian, which means green in Tagalog, and actually the canvas itself is green. Everything pretty much in the picture is green, so luntian makes perfect sense. Okay, I wanted to make sure that I said it right though, because the last thing anybody needs is listening to Naomi murder a word in a language that she does not speak. So I hope Melissa, if I got that wrong, you can blame Tagalog.com because it told me it was luntian, which, yeah, you had told me that too. But she is absolutely beautiful. Love, love, love it. And I've decided that besides Onahime, which is the beautiful, she is a kitsune, and in anime, you see kitsune represented a lot. Kitsune are absolutely beautiful mythological creatures, and I will get more into what like Onahime represents as far as Japanese culture goes, but Margaret both loves Japanese anime and manga, and so the fact that, you know, Onahime just seemed to represent some really beautiful loves of Margaret's life, and so I thought, why the heck not do Onahime? But I'm excited to get started. It seems like it's taking too long, and in the meantime, I'm kind of clearing out my WIP stash that I've got going on, right? So if you're keeping up with the WIP stash, I finished my Bella Art Diamonds piece today, actually. I did that earlier today. I need to write that in my book, actually. Hold, please, so I can remember to write that in my book, because otherwise I will freaking forget. But it turned out beautifully. For those who aren't sure, it's the Valkyria and Pegaso from Bella Art. So we finished, I pretty much started it the same day, but we're just going to go right finish. Finish is today 11/5, no, 11/4, because when you're watching this, it's 11/5, 25. Look at that. Oh, remember, the 5th of November, Gunpowder, Treason, and Plot. I won't get political on you, but man. So my week, I honestly, I love living in the state that I live in. I know I was talking about Morales stuff earlier. I'll get more into all of that as we get closer and closer. I'm damn excited. I love living in the state that I live in because we have like 4 proper seasons. I love the fact that we get a proper spring, we get a proper summer, we get a proper winter, a proper fall. And I've been telling people, you know, I feel like Wisconsin, which is where I live, is actually just as pretty in autumn as upstate New York. You know, everybody says, oh my God, you want to see fall colors, go to upstate New York. And I gotta tell you, we also have maple trees here. We have a variety of trees here. We have Japanese maples, we have oak, birch, pine, elm, everything. Catalpa. We have every kind of tree, both deciduous and conifer that you can imagine. Conifer is evergreen. Deciduous are trees that, you know, they're green and turn colors in the fall. We have all of them, okay? So whenever somebody says like, you know, oh, upstate New York, I'm like, you know what? Wisconsin has some pretty badass fall colors too. So I was on a trip out of the house. I was going to the post office, and while I was just literally at the post office, I wasn't doing anything else. I didn't have to drive out of my city or anything like that. I noticed in like literally the span around the building, there were 4 different types of trees or bushes or whatever, and I got some of the most beautiful fall color, just pictures of trees, right? Or bushes or leaves or whatever. Okay, I'm going to put them up here so you can see. I absolutely love our fall colors here. We get a spread of literally everything. There is nothing that we miss out on in the state of Wisconsin. And autumn here is just as pretty, in my opinion, as anywhere else. And you know, I moved to Wisconsin in 1987. My parents had divorced. We moved from Virginia, which is another beautiful state that I've lived in. But we moved here, and I remember the first couple of winters living here were rough because we lived in Virginia and had lived mostly in the South before that. And so living in Virginia and then moving to a place that has 4 proper seasons, I remember being sick a lot the first couple of years that we lived here, while my body just acclimated to living in a place that had winter, right? Had snow, and we got snow occasionally in Virginia, but where I lived, it wasn't really a snowy type place. Absolutely loved my first winter here. It was gorgeous, and I've honestly just enjoyed it ever since. Now, I don't love our winters. We do get proper winters with proper freezing ass cold weather. But for the most part, our winters are what you would expect to see in winter. We get snowfall, and it's, you know, usually, now granted, the last few years we haven't had much for a white Christmas, but, you know, climate change does funny things. But we, honestly, we get proper winters. It's really beautiful. I gotta fix this. Sorry, I got one of those weird squares where the release paper, not release paper, the plastic, right? The plastic part just isn't quite lining up. Ugh, that annoys me. But yeah, we get proper seasons. It's really just, it's beautiful here. And so autumn is always a really gorgeous reminder. We hit peak fall colors here where I live at the bottom of the state. Usually right around the third week of October to about end of the first week of October or November. So this is like perfect timing for fall colors where I live. Sorry to get a drink. But I wanted to show you guys some really just beautiful colors. Okay, so I hope you appreciate that. I don't know what the weather is like where you live in autumn, but I do appreciate some like sweater weather. You know what I mean? Now, granted, it doesn't last long enough. I wish it lasted longer, but it is what it is. Some winters here, I remember in the winter of 2019, it was the beginning of the year. My mom passed away in March, and my best friend had passed away in February. But that was the year that we had, like, so every year there's a polar vortex, right? And the polar vortex, which happens in the North Pole, and I'm assuming the South Pole has its own polar vortex as well. But in the North Pole, there's either what's called a stable polar vortex or an unstable polar vortex. An unstable polar vortex, we tend to get very erratic weather where we get lots of heavy snowfall, or we get, winds, or we get storms. We get all sorts of things happening in winter with a stable or with an unstable polar vortex. And then years like this year in particular, we have an El Nino or an El Nina, one of the two, along with an unstable polar vortex. So we're gearing up for a pretty crazy winter, which Dustin and I actually kind of enjoy the snow. We like to go out and walk in it. We like to go, walk the dogs in the snow. Beans adores the snow. This will be his third winter. And that's my Great Pyrenees. He absolutely adores winter. And so, we're gearing up for a really good one. But then there's stable polar vortexes. And the stable polar vortex is where we end up with really, really, really cold winters, but not a lot of snow. It's dry, but it gets cold, freezing cold. Well, in 2019, we had a very stable polar vortex, excuse me, and that was when literally here in the state of Wisconsin and in other parts of the northern states, they were literally shutting down businesses. I remember the place that I was working, we shut for almost a week because it was too dangerous to go outside. Hold on, I'm going to look up the record low. Okay, so I was looking up record low temperatures during the 2019 polar vortex, and it says some of the lowest recorded were negative 45 degrees Fahrenheit in Gay Mills, Wisconsin, and Mather on January 31st, 2019. Now, I looked up what that would be for those of you who are in Celsius, and negative 45 degrees Fahrenheit is negative 42.77 degrees Celsius. And that wasn't even the record low for the entire year. That was negative 47 degrees Fahrenheit in a place called Butternut, which is actually a place I've been. That's up in the north woods of Wisconsin. And that was on January 31st, 2019. And that in Celsius is negative 43.8 degrees Celsius. Freezing cold, okay? Too dangerous to go outside. Now, granted, I don't live in Butternut, and I don't live where it was negative 45. I do, however, live in a place where it was getting down to negative 25 degrees, and that works out to negative 31.6 Celsius, which is still, if you understand, cold, too freaking cold. That was the same year, actually, that we bought our house that I live in now, and it was so cold outside that, like, the heater did not want to get the house up past, like, 60, 55 degrees. We were freezing in the house. There were power outages in places, and it was just awful. It was terrible. I don't remember it ever being that cold before, and so you always kind of hope for an unstable polar vortex so you don't ever have to deal with that again, because there's a polar vortex every year, but you know, whether or not that polar vortex is going to affect the weather, you know, either in a storm kind of way or in just a negative temperatures kind of way, it depends on the type of polar vortex. But that was something actually that I took time to learn this year, because I was like, why in the heck did we get temperatures? Because, you know, you hear polar vortex and you're like, I don't remember hearing this word before. Words, phrase, whatever. I just didn't remember ever hearing it before. And so it was like, you know, they talked a lot about polar vortex in 2019, and then I kept hearing it again this year. Like, polar vortex is going to be blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what does that even mean? So now I've told you. Now you know. For those who have been asking after my mother-in-law, thank you very much for asking. She is out of the hospital and back home. She actually, her surgery was on Friday. She was home by Monday. And up and walking the same day she had her surgery. Like, they had her up and out of bed walking in the hospital. And then they had started to, like, wean her down off of the pain medication before she even got in the car to go home. She's walking better than she pretty much was walking before, because, you know, constantly she'd have swelling and whatever. And I mean, granted, yes, she's going to have swelling. She just had a knee surgery. But she said she can tell already that she's further along in her healing on this knee, when the last time it took, you know, well, she still wasn't healed, and it's been 3 years, all due to being allergic to the first knee replacement that they gave her. So 3 years later, now she's got a hypoallergenic knee and doing really well. So thank you to everybody who asked after her. Oh, and if you were following the saga of the stupid washer from last week's WIP and Chat, apparently it's officially broken, and the cost to repair whatever damage she did by putting cleaner in it to get the mold out was enough to, like, break the washer for good, I guess. I guess they don't build them like they used to, because I can't imagine throwing a gel for a washer to clean it out should kill a washer, you know? She had a paper towel and some, like, gel, like cleaning gel that goes in it. And they told her, oh, well, it might have been the paper towel that you put in there. She washes paper towels all the time that are in her pocket or whatever. I don't think it was the paper towel that broke the washer. It's like, good try. But no, I don't think it was that. But she's doing well, but the washer is not doing well at all. I went over there to watch the dogs for a little bit on Friday, the day of her surgery, because my father-in-law went, obviously to the hospital with her, and then he came home when she was in recovery. And while I was there, I managed to burn the crap out of a pizza. I thought I had either broken their oven, or their oven was broken or something. Thankfully, it is working now, but we're all kind of in a panic, uh-oh, what about Thanksgiving? You going to be able to cook a turkey in there? Because the pizza was burnt on the bottom, but raw on the top, which I couldn't figure out how that happened. I've cooked plenty of pizzas before, but something was going on with the top burners. I don't know what. They're going to do a couple of test runs before Thanksgiving. I'm like, well, that's great. You just got a knee replacement, but now you're going to have to pay for a new washer and possibly a new oven. I hope not. Holy crap, I didn't mean to kill your oven. It was definitely not on purpose. Whoops. Oh, I went over there today because remember how I told you that she had ordered dog food and sent farmer's dog food to my house, and I thought she sent me dog food and she didn't? Well, I got another box of dog food today. Why, I'm not really sure. And so I texted her and I was like, did you send me dog food? And she goes, is there dog food there? And I was like, yeah. Well, the farmer's dog is a subscription service that you sign up for. And I guess she had forgotten to cancel the subscription. And that stuff is not freaking cheap. I think the box was $250 for 2 weeks or 3 weeks worth of dog food. Just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Well, so I take it over to the house, and I was going there also to pick up a mini fridge because they had a mini fridge of it was Dustin's or something in the basement. And I figured when I move my craft room upstairs, I can have a lady cave and have, my soda right up there with me if I'd like, or snacks if I want, carrot sticks or something I can snack on. Well, as I'm headed over to their house, this car, I'm going down the main road, and this car at an intersection, all of a sudden it comes screaming around the corner into my lane, and then goes over into the other lane. And I was like, what the actual? Now, I was pretty far back, so it's not like he was going to run into my car or anything. But then all of a sudden, lights on and sirens, comes screaming a police officer around the corner too, and proceeds to have a high-speed chase down the road behind me. And I pull over because cop, right? I pull over, and then I see the car literally squeal around the corner and into a residential neighborhood. When that sucker got caught, that's jail time. You can't be doing a high-speed chase in the middle of a residential neighborhood. So I hope whatever they ran for it was worth it, because they're going to be spending some time in the jail. But I told my in-laws about it. I was like, I was on my way to your house and I just watched a high-speed chase for a minute. What? The heck was that crap? And then, oh my God. Okay. So today, and this, before my live, I always walk Beans before I do my live streams because he gets antsy. He wants to go for walks. He wants to go for car rides. He's kind of getting used to when I do my live streams, Dustin takes him for a car ride, but I usually take him for a walk first so that he's at least somewhat settled for a little bit before the live. And Dustin doesn't have to immediately get in the car and, go for a 2-hour drive while I'm doing my lives, because I go live for about 2 hours. Well, now, if you guys remember last year in winter, I had been walking Beans with the retractable leash, and I wasn't paying good attention. I had given him a lot of lead, basically probably 10 feet of lead to kind of go to a bush. I didn't want to walk into the yard. Now I just walk into the yard. I don't let him more than a couple of feet off of the leash from me. Well, I get around the corner, and there's in like the driveway of the next house around the corner, there's a car parked in the driveway, but it's parked in the driveway in such a way that they're covering the sidewalk, which is illegal, by the way. If you didn't know that, and at least in the state of Wisconsin, I don't know about other states, but in this state, you're not to park on top of the sidewalk. Like, the sidewalk is to remain clear for pedestrians so they don't have to walk in the street, okay? Well, this car, which was full of teenagers, of course, sorry teenagers, but it was full of teenagers, and the way that she had backed up, there was another car in the driveway, and there was maybe, I don't know, a gap of, I would say, a foot behind her car. I had originally tried to go behind the car instead of walking in front of the car and out into the street. I was going to walk behind the car. Well, I get behind the car and I realize I'm not going to fit and Beans is not going to fit. So I go to turn around with Beans, and meanwhile, I didn't realize somebody had come out of the house and was coming down the steps. And the person, now this is just a descriptor, not for any other reason, but it was a young man who I've seen him before plenty of times when I walked in front of the house with Beans, right? But he's a young man who's a person of color, and it was dark, and he was wearing all black. Now, the reason that is important is because Beans did not see him, because Beans was walking with me, and I turned us both around at the same time. So Beans saw him come down the stairs about, I don't know, 3-4 feet away at the same time that I did. And as Beans is a Great Pyrenees and is bred to be a guard dog, like that's what they do, they're a guard dog, he reacted to the person that he all of a sudden saw was there and was now in between. Beans was in between myself and this person who is a stranger to him, essentially, because he's never really met the person, but he's seen him, in the daytime. Well, so as I'm turning with Beans, my feet kind of like my legs get kind of like wrapped up in each other, and Beans goes to not like lunge at the person, but he did like pull against the leash and start barking. Well, when I got my feet wrapped up, it brought me down to my knees, and the girl who's driving the car is a teenager. She rolls her window down, and as Beans is barking, I'm on my knees in the grass and holding on to his leash still. He didn't pull me down. I fell down. And the girl is in the car screaming obscenities, first of all. Telling the guy, get in the effing car. Run to the effing car. She doesn't have control of that effing dog. And I am like, one, trying to keep my cool so that Beans isn't losing his cool. Because if I'm remaining calm, he'll remain calm. And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh God, please do not let this guy, this young man, run, because Beans is in between him and the car, okay? Please don't let him run past my dog and then really get him worked up that there's something going on. Because at this point, one, he startled Beans because he didn't know he was coming down the stairs. He's all in black. It is dark, and he is a person of color. And so Beans is already amped, right? And so she's screaming. The girl is screaming from in her car. And I'm trying to keep my cool while on my knees in the grass. And I'm also talking on the phone with somebody, but I had headphones on. And so I'm like trying to get up and not let Beans lunge at the guy. He stands there. All credit to him for just standing there. He didn't react. He just stood there. Well, I get myself up and I hear the girl in the car like that bee, being me, that bee doesn't need to be walking that effing dog around here. Da 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 da. Now, mind you, her window was open, and what I really wanted to do was to turn around with Beans and let him jump in her car. But I didn't do that. I wanted to curse her out. I didn't do that either, because I'm going to tell you, I was beyond furious at this point, wanting to scream at her like, listen, girl, you're parked illegally over the sidewalk, and had she not been there, I would have just walked through, and then there would have been no confrontation. I wouldn't have been there. I would have been away, right? And she's screaming obscenities. I'm trying to get up. I get up with Beans. I get up. I walk Beans to the curb so that I'm enough away from this guy and he can just proceed to the vehicle. And I walk to the curb with Beans, and I'm talking to him quietly, like, it's okay. It's okay. Calm down. I'm trying to stay calm, right? Because I'm not trying to make the situation worse. I'm not trying to yell at the girl, because that's also going to make the situation worse. And I decide, okay, I'm not going to walk in front of this little brat's car. So I decided to go back around the corner for a little bit just to give myself a beat, because as I said, I really wanted to curse this girl out and let my dog loose in her car. But I waited a little bit because I figured if the gentleman was getting into the car that they would be leaving. Well, and I wanted to proceed with my walk with Beans so he could go to the bathroom and I could go back and start my live stream. Well, I'm like explaining to the person that I'm talking to on the phone what had just happened, and explaining that, you know, I was upset. I was trying to get calmed down, whatever. And I ended up walking back around the corner to try and finish my walk with Beans, and they were still parked there and illegally over the sidewalk still. So I ended up just taking him across the street. I went up to the next block, basically, and then walked this way, and then crossed back across the street where I usually go for his walk, because he's a Pyrenees, and they're very much about, like, he doesn't have a yard to patrol with, like, a fence and things like that. And so, like, when we walk the neighborhood, that's essentially him walking his beat, right? Like, that's his way of being able to, his way of being able to kind of get his rounds in for the evening or whatever. And so I wanted to continue and let him go to the bathroom in his usual spots. And, you know, like, because by the time he walked through there the last time, I'm sure 3 dogs have peed. And so he's got to pee on all of his favorite trees. And he's got to let everybody know that this is his tree. And, you know, it's his sidewalk. It's his neighborhood. But I'd never seen the girl before. I do know that another tenant of that particular, it's like a 3-home, like, it used to be a single family at one point that they turned into 3 apartments or whatever. I've never seen the girl there before, and one resident who lives there and has preteens, she got sick of the older teenagers constantly sitting out on the porch smoking pot, because that's what they do. Granted, I don't care. It's none of my business. Like, whatever, kids gonna be kids, smoking some weed. But clearly she didn't want that around her preteens, and so she put a sign up basically that said, like, if you don't live here, you don't belong on my porch. And so now they've taken to hanging out in cars in front of the house because they're teenagers, right? Like, that's what they do. But I just, and then I needed to take a solid, like, 10 minutes before my live, one, to explain to Dustin and the kids what had happened when I got home, because my blood pressure was like just, I was furious. Like, I don't normally have issues in my neighborhood. I don't normally have issues with Beans anymore. Like, yeah, he gets a little bit reactive to things, but usually it's like it's dark out or there's something, right? He doesn't like bikes, and he doesn't really like skateboards. He doesn't like, you know, people on two-wheeled things, because he's like, what is this sorcery? But for the most part, like, I can control my dog. It wasn't that I didn't have control of him. It was I tripped over my own clumsy feet because I was trying to turn around, not fitting behind your car, and fell over. It wasn't my dog pulling me to the ground. It was me falling on the ground because I'm clumsy. Well, I kind of hope I don't see the girl in daylight, because I will tell her about herself in the daylight and let her know that she doesn't belong parking illegally across the freaking sidewalk anyway, and how that would not have happened. Now, granted, I know you're thinking, like, you don't need to confront that girl, but yeah, I do. I kind of need to tell her about herself, because I'm not just going to be called a bee when I didn't do anything wrong. Nor did Beans do anything wrong, really, because he was just doing what he thought to be his job, which was protect his mom in the dark with somebody he couldn't see, or that startled him. And startled me, frankly. I didn't know he was there. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I went or anything. I didn't gasp or whatever. I didn't react to the person who just showed up. But, you know, Beans is a dog. That's what he does. Dog's gonna dog. But it is what it is, right? I mean, you can't save some people from their own stupidity. Just kind of life, I guess. Do you see these colors? Like, oh my God, I can't. I love it. But anyhow, you have any stories like that where just people are dumb? Because there's lots of them. You know, I did want to mention, and again, I don't really speak politics on this channel, like in private settings or whatever. Yeah, I'll talk about politics, but for the most part, I don't really bring it to the channel because it's not what this is about. But I do want to say, and not in a political way, but just in a human being sort of way, the world can be a really chaotic and sometimes uncertain place. And, you know, diamond painting has been one way for me to really just kind of regroup. And I hope it works that way for you as well. I know that things in life generally can be uncertain, maybe not always knowing where your next meal is going to come from, or maybe not always knowing if you're going to have the things that you need to take care of yourself, or sometimes it's just, you know, not being able to afford simple luxuries for yourself. And sometimes those air quote luxuries are toilet paper or whatever. I want you to know that I understand, one, very, very, very well how that feels and what that's like, and how defeating that can feel, right? But I also want you to know that nothing is forever. I was in a musical when I was younger, and the musical is a comedy, but there's a song in the musical. It's called Avenue Q. Don't know if you've ever seen the musical, but I played the Bad Idea Bear girl, which was an appropriate. My friends and family said that was typecasting, but it's okay. But there's a song in Avenue Q, the musical, that's called For Now. And the line is, everything in life is only for now. And it's very true. I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in how bad things are now that we don't stop to think about, you know, the past and how we've been able to manage or how we've been able to survive through hardships in the past, we tend to remember those bad times, but we don't remember how we got through them necessarily every time. And even though things just generally can be uncertain, there can be a lot of unrest as far as, you know, people disagreeing about the state of things or how things are run or where things stand or whatever. Just all the things, all the ways in which we can get wrapped up in disagreeing with each other. I think that you'll find, especially if you just look and listen and really listen with your heart, we have so many more things in common than we do as differences. And if you really focus on when you meet someone new or when you see someone again who doesn't necessarily agree with the things that you think or believe or stand up for, try to find the ways in which you and that person may have the same kinds of struggles or the same kinds of fears or the same hopes or dreams or aspirations for the future. It is a scary world out there. Diamond painting helps. But, you know, everything in life is only for now. And there's always going to be these dark, uncertain times. But I know that together we can all come up with solutions. Together we're a whole lot more powerful than we are apart. And I don't know if anybody has told you this today, but I'm very, very glad that you were born. And I'm very, very glad that this world has you in it. Even if you don't agree with all the things I say and you don't agree with some of the things I do or whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm still so grateful that you were born and that you're in the world today. Just thought you might want to know. Let me go ahead and grab my tarot cards so I can get us a thought for the week. What do you think? Let's take a look. Okay. Squeaky, squeaky. All right. I'm going to take a little drink of my soda. One moment. Okay. Got my drink in. And let's see what we've got. All right. I've already shuffled them. The Journeyman, but it was upside down. Have we had this one before? I feel like we've had this one before, but have we had it reversed? I don't know. The Journeyman. Let's see what the Journeyman has for us. Our thought for the week. It says, when this energy is blocked. Wait, let me read the last little bit of the last part. Consider where you are going. What are your long-term goals? What are you doing that is helping you to move toward them? When this energy is blocked, we may feel unable to move forward. There can be two reasons for this. It may be that such a journey is inappropriate at this time and should be delayed until certain conditions are met. Or it may mean that we are delaying ourselves with our own fear. If you are satisfied that the journey is in the right direction for you, prepare for it carefully, and once you have done so, go for it. Waiting will not make it easier. If it is just fear holding you back, take a long draught from the chalice of courage and step out boldly. Twisted, This energy can involve pretending to ourselves that we are moving forward, but in fact, taking a dozen inappropriate paths in order to avoid the one truly right path. Man, have I done that a lot in my life. The name of the game is distraction and misdirection. Both are a kind of false magic that gets us nowhere. At its worst, this card reversed can indicate an inappropriate journey, possibly even as undesirable as the path of destruction, for self or others. Consider carefully where you are going here. Consider your major, long-term goals in life and ask yourself how this journey helps you to move toward them. Is it perhaps a distraction, a detour, or a fatal stepping off of a cliff? Only we ourselves can decide whether or not we really want to take another step in this direction and why. So watch out for those distractions, those misdirections. And you know, honestly, right now, this is the perfect card for what I was talking about before. There's so many things in life that can just throw you off course. And, you know, when we're all headed toward a goal and it seems like there's so many things out there, believe this story, not this story. Look at this over here. Get distracted by this destruction. Get distracted by this stupid thing this person said. Get distracted by this battle, this war, this argument, this whatever, distraction. And it doesn't give us time or energy or focus enough to prepare ourselves for the journey we have ahead. Don't let those distractions fool you, because that's really all they are. They're misdirections. They're distractions. All of it in life. And so take your journey, walk beside others, lift others up, and don't let the just buzz of noise around us really distract us from what we're trying to do, which is to build a better humanity by being humane, by being kind. So it's a good card. It's a good card, the journeyman, but reversed. All right, you guys, I think I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to cut it a little early, but again, I'm so glad that you're here. And thank you for being in my life in major and minor ways, okay? All right, I'm going to take off. As ever, you guys, I hope that wherever you are in this great, big, wide, wonderful world of ours, that you're having a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.